Janaka Basnayake. Some world records are genuinely impressive, running faster than anyone else on Earth, lifting impossible amounts of weight. And then there are records that immediately make you stop and think, why would anyone even attempt this? This is one of those records. Janaka Basnayake was a 24-year-old man from Sri Lanka. In 2012, he set out to break one of the most terrifying records imaginable, staying buried alive underground for as long as possible. Yes, buried alive. The plan was simple and horrifying. Janaka would be placed inside a narrow wooden box and buried 10 feet beneath the surface. On the morning of the attempt at around 9:30 a.m., Janaka climbed into the box. Family members and friends carefully lowered it into the pit. Wooden planks were placed over the top. Then the shoveling began. Dirt poured in. More and more earth piled on top, until the box was sealed in complete darkness 10 feet underground. Just think about that for a moment. The crushing weight of the soil pressing down. The sound of dirt striking the wood above growing quieter and quieter. Total darkness. No movement. No escape. Inside the box, the air would have turned hot and stale almost immediately. The first few minutes would have been pure panic, a raw, instinctive need to breathe. His breathing would have become fast and shallow, his heart pounding violently in his chest. But soon, panic wasn't the worst part. As oxygen levels dropped and carbon dioxide rose, every breath became harder. A burning sensation filled his lungs. A crushing headache set in. His ears would have rung, his lips and fingertips turning blue. Confusion followed. Then, hallucinations. In his final moments, Janaka would have clawed at the inside of the wooden box, fingernails splitting, fingers bleeding, a desperate primal attempt to escape. Every gasp for air feeling like a blade driven into his chest. At around 4 p.m., after roughly 6.5 hours underground, his family dug him up. The box was pulled from the pit and opened. Janaka was unconscious. He was rushed to the hospital, but it was already too late. The official cause of death wasn't a single factor. It was a combination of suffocation, carbon dioxide poisoning, and the immense pressure crushing his chest and lungs beneath the weight of the earth. He wanted a world record. Instead, he suffered one of the most terrifying deaths imaginable. Sailendra Nath Roy. Now for something completely different. Sailendra Nath Roy was a 49-year-old police driver from India. His claim to fame wasn't diving or climbing. It was his hair. He held a Guinness World Record for traveling the longest distance on a zip line using only his ponytail. In 2013, he decided to break his own record. The attempt took place at Coronation Bridge in West Bengal, over the Tista River. A steel cable stretched 600 feet across the river, roughly 65 feet above the water. Hundreds of people gathered to watch. Sailendra attached his ponytail to a pulley and launched forward. At first, everything went smoothly. He glided across the river, his body hanging freely beneath him. Then, halfway across, he stopped. His hair became tangled in the pulley. He was stuck, dangling helplessly above the river. At first, the crowd cheered, thinking it was part of the performance. But minutes passed. Sailendra struggled, shouting for help, arms flailing as panic set in. Imagine the pain. His entire body weight pulling on his scalp. A burning, tearing sensation like needles driven into his skull. His arms tiring. Muscles screaming. He hung there for approximately 45 minutes. Eventually, his body went limp. Rescuers managed to get him down, but it was too late. Sailendra had suffered a massive heart attack. The extreme pain and stress had literally stopped his heart. His wife had begged him not to attempt the stunt. She asked him to make it his last. He promised her it would be.